Good morning, my beauties. So let's talk about relationships once again. I don't know why this topic's coming. Maybe it's because of the season. Somehow during the autumn, winter time, people who have not coupled up yet feel like the frenzy of needing to be in a relationship. Today's sponsor of the video is this gorgeous potion. See how gorgeous she is? So today's topic, always coming from a spiritual perspective, an energy perspective. If you don't know me, I'm Miss Pravala. Everyone calls me MP. And I've been doing this for over 22 years, helping women reconnect with their sexual energy, learn to become self-healers and tap into the pleasure principle, which is one of the highest vibrations that the hyper-feminine needs to embody in order to have a thriving and fulfilling life. So, relationships. I talked to a couple of clients recently, and first of all, I have to say, please get off social media. Get off of social media. It is polluting you. And I'm saying it from the bottom of my heart. As a content creator, of course, I have to sort of dwell in the social media neighborhoods, but not to the point where it becomes my life teacher subliminally, which is very vicious and very powerful. I spoke about the types of women because women who come to me have understood the necessity and the possibility of having it all. Meaning that, and especially if you're already in a stage of your life where you feel that you've waited too long, whatever you feel that the life you should be living, the things you should be experiencing, somehow the women who come to me have an issue with time, almost like I started too late or I need to move fast. There's a sort of impatience about it. There's an actual pain or a void that they want to fill, whether it is in a passion that they want to turn into a money attracting activity, or whether it is a relationship. Because I've said it and I'm going to say it again, as a woman, the moment you become a hyper feminine woman, you're meant to have it all. No woman is born on this earth to have less than another. Our life purposes and our life missions and the paths through which we're going to maneuver our different challenges that, in spirituality you may call either karma, even though it's not the word, but I'm going to use the mainstream word because people think, karma, it's usually a bad thing. No, karma is just the law of action. It means that whatever you did, it's on a revolving thing. And that's why a lot of people feel that they are in a hamster wheel because they're not taking a position of changing the trajectory so that, yes, it's going to be repetitive, but based on the things you want to repetitively experience. Does it make sense? There is no such thing in energy work as I wake up Monday and I do this, and I wake up Wednesday and I do this. This notion of freedom, of I want money because I can just pick up any day and do whatever I want. There's always going to be a pattern that is going to establish itself because energy is like that. The moment you start awakening certain things, certain energies or certain spirits in your life, they're here to stay. So there's always going to be a consistency. Now, some energies are energies of complete adventure. It always comes with a choice because there's always a sacrifice. Now, I've spoken about sacrifice before because you have to sacrifice something. You sacrifice money, you sacrifice time, you sacrifice your soul, you sacrifice your health, you sacrifice your family. You're always going to sacrifice something. It is the law of duality, of free exchange. Whenever I give, I receive. And even when you feel like you're not giving anything, or at least you're receiving something that you feel that you didn't put out there, you have to determine where is it coming from and why are you experiencing it, because energy does not lie. So in terms of relationships, when I say stop with the social media, I mean that there are now new images that are implanted on your site that make you feel that you need a certain type of relationship, or at least you need to have a certain type of character play in order for you to feel that the relationship is worthy. The media has always played a role like a sculptor because of the images projected, and many times with subliminal messages, has always played a big role in telling us what we're supposed to like, how we're supposed to look, what is a worthy life, what is a worthy relationship. And it's always setting the stage for comparison. Because maybe with all of the money that you have, if you did not know that a woman who is not married by age 50 but has a lot of money is a failure, maybe you wouldn't consider yourself to be a failure. If you are embodying your hyper femininity and you just feel that you still want to play, even though partners are knocking at your door left and right, it's different from someone who's just going on this desert kind of situation where there's nothing. But failure is usually a result of comparison, because otherwise you would just take everything as a learning experience, as what is my soul trying to teach me? What is my soul is now choosing to experience? That's when it's not tainted by images of the media. And today, social media is so fast-paced that every single person is going to implant their own limiting situation as it is normal, it is okay, or you should be this way because I am. And whenever you align, whenever you see any type of similarities with your experience, you take it as a relief, as in, I'm not alone experiencing this. Whereas, what do you really know from someone who shows up on the screen? When I show up to you, can you tell me exactly, precisely what has been going on today in my life from the moment I woke up to now? You can only see what I'm showing you here on the screen, and the rest is your imagination, either belittling what could possibly be my experience or idealizing it. And maybe even by idealizing it, you might even be very far from how ideal it actually is, because it is always based on your lens. It's always based on the limitation of your lens, because you don't have a 360 panoramic perspective, view on not just your situation, but how could you of another person. Hello, my goddess. In November, I am heading to Dubai. I am delivering in person a few custom potions to clients of mine, and I will also be doing spiritual treatments, sexual energy healing, womb rituals, a spiritual bath to those clients. If you are interested in commissioning me to make the best custom potion for you, contact me so we can organize the details and the logistics. I love you. Enjoy the rest of the video. So, because of social media, a lot of my clients recently have been speaking about terms like old money, new money. So I've spoken about this on other videos because it's becoming trendy. And even though I've never followed trends, I still have to be able to cater to you when you come to me as a client, right? So as I explained in previous videos, old money, I believe, refers to a specific category of people who are highly privileged, mostly blue-blooded people. You can have a version of it in every culture, and those people usually know that they are. And most of the time, they don't hang out in the places where other regular people hang out in. So you only see the version that maybe a select few choose to show you, or some who are passing as are showing you on social media. So I want to speak about it because it made me think of two stories of the media that kind of illustrates what I want to talk about, which is the movie. I think it was in the 90s movie, Julia Roberts and Richard Gere, Pretty Woman, which is many women's favorite, especially women of my generation who are in their 40s or 30s or 50s, who saw that movie and somehow it sold a dream, because everyone loves a love story. And I want to put it in contradiction to fairy tales. Now, I'm not going to pick one fairy tale in particular. However, I'm going to pick fairy tales from Disney, because we all know the origins, the Grimm's brothers, whatever, the real origin of many of the fairy tales that have been adapted to cartoons or movies by big companies. So I'm going to use Disney fairy tales, Disney's version of fairy tales. Pretty Woman, the movie, shows, if you've never watched it, it is basically the unlikely love story of a woman who became a prostitute, maybe reluctantly, but who turned into prostitution and meets accidentally this man played by Richard Gere, who is what I would call new money turned old money man. Wealthy, but self-made. So already, you have to keep in mind Old money is gonna always be different than new money dressing up as old money. But in that movie, there's no analysis of whether or not anyone, especially that character, plays off or passes old money. It's just that at some point in the movie, he explains that his father was rich, but he abandoned his mother. So basically, he grew up in precarious circumstances. So you could argue that he was both. By blood, he was old money, but he didn't experience that from his upbringing. Now take the fairy tale. The fairy tale, so say for example, Cinderella. You have Cinderella, she loses her father, who was part of the nobility, not necessarily a princess, but he was a well-off man, so she was living in amazing conditions. She loses her dad and she basically becomes some sort of maid of her stepmom, her evil stepmom, and the servant of her stepsisters. She ends up meeting the prince in other accidental or coincidental circumstances. Again, this is my appreciation of those things, okay? You may actually have a different lecture on it, but I'm speaking of it from the perspective of energy, but also what's going on nowadays in the programming of relationships. Even though Cinderella is living as a servant, as an impoverished version of herself, you can see that she is divinely blessed. She has what we call her spirit guides, or her fairy godmothers, and all of the little magical animals, what we call totems or spirit animals, who are here to help her fulfill her life mission of meeting that prince, but owning up to the throne that she already is spiritually, energetically. So even though when he meets her, first of all, when he sees her, he sees the magic that she brings to him, because she shows up to him as a magical being. She's dressed in her magical clothes. What are the magical clothes? The equivalents, the anointment, the aura. You're dressing up with your energy, with the magic. And the singing that she's been doing and the blessing, all of that is part of this sacred femininity. Even though she lived in impoverished circumstances, she was still nurturing, dreaming, creating her circumstances. And she never lost touch of the etiquette. So she had the etiquette, which is basically what is always going to transpire. This is a story not of rags to riches. This is a story of a prince, so someone who is the equivalent of today's old money, meeting his equivalent. And that is basically why I wanted to make this video, because like I said, a lot of my clients have been coming to me telling me about, I want to date an old money man and I'm dressing almost, so they change their wardrobe completely because they want to have a Pinterest wardrobe version, and they want to have the specific brands, you know, the Loro Pianas and the Ro and all of those brands, the Bruno Cucinelli, the Loro Pianas, the Ro, and whatever else brand, the Ralph Lauren, any brand that now embodies this sort of old money. When a client comes to someone like me, my job is to bring her to her true authentic self, not to make her disguise herself as something that she is not. The goal is to awaken to your own authenticity, and it only comes through energy and meditative work. You need to shift your energy from the place of energy pollution that you've been accumulating, and understand who you are as a woman, to meet accidentally, as there is no such thing in spirituality, the man who is going to be your vibrational match, your male equivalent. It's not about dressing up, you know, playing dress up or passing as, because a new money person is no less than an old money person. An old money person is not above a new money person. And the majority of Earth's population is actually in between. People who strive at having a good life, making amazing money, enjoying their life, enjoying their sexuality, having amazing partnership, expanding in their reality. However, if we determine that you are of royal bloodline, that divinely you are part of the nobility, then you are going to embrace that aspect of you, not by passing as in the 3D, but in expanding yourself. Because when it comes to mindset, and this is from my experience being with those people worldwide, if you're part of the privileged few, those men do not marry below. They marry as collaborations and partnerships. The exception being women in the arts. Somehow, women who evolve in the arts, whether they're dancers, sculptors, painters, jewelry makers, stylists, designers, image consultants, interior decorators, but really the fofolle, you know, the artist who just loves in her bubble, lives in her bubble, expanding in her looks. So she's not trying to look like old money. If you want to hear more about this, leave a comment below and I'll do a part 2 of this video. I think it's an interesting topic. Say it with me. I'm entitled to manifest lavish, imperial, divine opulence. Please give a chance to being a gorgeous, hyper feminine woman. It is a safe place here. We enjoy our lives truly, and somehow nothing seems out of reach. And we're beautiful. Bye. Ciao.